63-year-old Marilyn Jean Hartman's collection of mugshots continues to grow. Her M.O., getting through airport security and boarding flights for free.
The fact is, we don't have good security. You do have to have a boarding pass to get into the security line. How did she manage to do that? You got to have a boarding pass to get on an airplane. How did she manage to do that? I don't have answers to that. We do have one answer. She was able to do it on multiple occasions, which says that our system isn't layered. Our system is like Swiss cheese.
Every day, millions of Americans get on airplanes of all sizes, traveling to business meetings, family gatherings, sporting events. We're a nation in constant motion, and it's that motion being threatened now by terrorists determined to change our way of life. Law enforcement and the government want us to believe we're safe. So the simple question is, how safe do you feel traveling across the country to these events? It's a pleasure indeed to welcome into the studio a great friend and one who is always in motion, crisscrossing this country either by plane or on her preferred four wheels. She is the preeminent auto expert in America today, heard and read by millions on her website and here on MidPoint. Welcome in the car coach. Lauren Fix joins us in studio.
Well, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Glad to be here.
This has been way too many years before you head off to Sebring and get into the get behind a race car.
Yep. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I do prefer the four wheels, and I'm always test driving different cars each week, but there's a lot going on with TSA.
Do you feel, because you are always in the air, and you now have, you get through the lines a lot faster because you're one of the frequent travelers,
I pay
right?
for pre-check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel safe getting on an aircraft?
You know, that sometimes is a hit and miss question, because I'll go through TSA, which is we pay extra for the pre-check, and there'll be someone in front or behind me who's like, I've been on a plane since 1970. Should I take off my jewelry? You know, do I take off my shoes? And I'm thinking, how did you get in this line? When I had to be background checked, criminal background checked, they checked everything about me, and these people are getting in the line. And the thing is, they're letting them through, and people are going through with all kinds of things. And I've gone through with bottles of water that I forgot to take out of my laptop case. So that tells me that the inspections are far from what they're supposed to be, and they do pick people out of line that really shouldn't be picked out of line.
Is the TSA now, in your opinion, because you deal with them so often, are they more of a hindrance now, at least to safety?
Well, I think that they're being restricted by the government regulations that come down from above. They're just doing their jobs. But I also know that for a fact. I mean, even something as simple as asking for a bin, they give you attitude. I'm thinking, why are you giving me attitude? You're making $20 or plus an hour, and they're giving me attitude, and I'm paying for this, not just in my taxes, but in pre-check. So I think that there's a problem when you put someone in a position of power, it goes to their head. And because of that, they sometimes extra check someone that they feel it's today's your day, or other people just, they slip right through the system. And that's how this woman keeps slipping through the system. She's probably very sweet, you know, plays I'm just an old lady card, and oh honey, go on through. And I'm sure that's how she's getting on the flights.
But so let's then talk about getting to where you're going, because we had this week, the terrorists said that they were going to go after Mall of America and other malls as well. And again, they can spit anything out they want. These are all just, this is propaganda, and this is a way to get people scared.
Right.
But you and I have been at a lot of sporting events that have tens of thousands of people that are there, whether they're arenas, racetracks, Daytona, whatever it is, an arena for basketball or baseball.
Even trade shows, the security is unbelievable.
Even trade shows. You go there and there's thousands of people there. Do you feel as if there's enough security there? And the people that you talk to, do they fear for their safety at these wide open events? Or do they even care?
I hate to say this because I know I'm throwing myself under the bus, but it's almost a lowest common denominator thing. I mean, I was just at a big auto show that we reported on, and every time I'd go through, they'd want to look in my purse. And they just glance, and I'm thinking, you can't, I have a huge bag because I have all my camera equipment in it. And they look inside and go, okay. And I'm thinking, I could have anything in here. So this is the security to keep the honest people honest, probably most likely. But I think it's supposed to, it's just for image, I think, more than anything else. And it's kind of disappointing because do I really want it to be a stricter security? No, but then I understand that if you don't, then you're letting the crazies in, and then they do silly things like we've seen happen around the world.
Are you like me, when many times I'll come to the TSA and others, I'll say, look, if I've got to stop for an extra half hour, and if you've got to do this, I don't care. Take off the jacket, take off the shoes, I don't care. Get me to my destination safely. Make sure there's no crazies on the flight, and I'm going to be happy with giving up a half hour of my time.
I would do that. And I've actually gone through the search where I don't get the pre-check, and I have to, you know, put your hands above your head, and they go through all my bags because they see something that looks like a, you know, an umbrella. Fine, I don't care. But people do complain, and because they complain, it's amazing how quick they go through it. So they're told that if consumers complain, you know, we try to push it along.
All right, now there's another disaster here that we need to talk about, and that is the highways in America, because you deal with them, you drive on them, you race on them, you're there constantly. The highway fund is a disaster at this point, and Americans are wondering, are we ever going to be able to fix this? The logjam in Washington, free up the money, and get our infrastructure fixed finally.
Right, and this is something that you and I both know what happens is that money goes into a fund, and then they access that general fund, and they take it for other things. And when you look at the roadways and you see the size of the potholes and you know how they're repaired poorly. I've been all over Europe and I see how they repair their potholes. We actually did a whole story on how the roadway was produced and how it was repaired. In Europe, they actually have steamrollers out there pushing the material back in and repairing the pothole properly. We tend to fill it with a bunch of loose fill, and the next car goes over it, it'll pack it down. And unfortunately, those holes get bigger and bigger and bigger. The roads become more unsafe, and the damage to your vehicle, that's on you. And I think that adding more gas taxes is not the problem. Adding by the mile tax is not the problem. It's use the money for the proper reasons. Get someone in there who can actually budget. And I think the problem is people are just raiding the fund.
Gee, guess what? I guess we're talking about Washington now and not properly spending money. What a shocker. I never thought we'd be here, all right? About a minute or so that I have left here. Two quick automotive things for you. Honda got rid of their CEO. Their quality's down. They got the airbag issue going on. What does this say about the safety and quality of Honda vehicles?
Well, I was just at a Honda event just 2 days ago, and I did get a chance to talk to someone in charge. Every 6 years, they rotate their CEO. If you go back and look at history, so that guy didn't step down and disappear. He's actually there as a supporter, as an emeritus, watching over the next guy, and they rotate every 6 years. This current CEO stepping down was not part of the recall problem. It was the one before him. In addition, Takata, which is the airbag company that we've seen all the recalls, has nothing to do with him stepping down. So I did find that out for a fact, even though there's a lot of speculators and it's great to try and stir up a big story. There's no story here.
All right, so no big deal here. Last thing, Buick, a top 10. I'm sorry, but nothing against, if you got a Buick, nothing against you. Right. Buick in a top 10 in America?
Well, Lexus is #1 for the J.D. Power results. Buick is #2. And GM has tried to step up their game. Buick, for some reason, has just bypassed. When you say General Motors, people don't put Buick under that name. And it has to do with how many per 100 returns they go to the dealer for a problem, whether it's a recall, a technical service bulletin, or a problem. And Buick does have a good product. And there's a lot of other good products out there on the market. Unfortunately, the bottom is Fiat and Mini, which I happen to own a Mini and had no problems with. So I guess it depends on the car. Do you take care of it? What kind of problems? You know, like any vehicle.
You say Buick to me, I still think Skylark. Sorry, you know, the 1970s and all that. Lauren, absolutely a pleasure to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Please come by again. You're one of my favorites. It's a pleasure to see you again. Best to Paul, and bring home a checkered flag this weekend.
That's the goal.
There you go. All right. The word apocalypse has been used with regard to the mad, bare-chested dictator and his plans for Europe. We're going to talk about Ukraine and go to Kiev next on MidPoint.